This problem is edit distance. So this is a problem on strings, okay? And this problem is categorized into the hard category of the problems. And what we can see is there are two strings, okay? There are two strings, str1 and str2. So I can write it like this as str1, str2, okay? There are two strings. Now what we have to do is we have to return the minimum number of operations required to convert str1 to str2. So how we are going to achieve this? We can achieve this. First we have to understand that what the question is. So before that, let us take some examples. So if I take some examples as str1 equals to geek, okay, geek. So in this geek, and the second string which I have is GESEK, okay. So what you can see, we have three operations, right? The operations are insert, remove and replace. So I will quickly write the operations functions as insert, remove and replace, okay. Insert, remove and replace. So if I insert, we have to use all these three functions. You can either use one function or two function or three function depending on the type of question you're solving. But if I'm using the insert function over here, what I can see in the first string, if I insert s between 2e, okay, between this and this location, if I insert the value of s, then my string will become GESEK, okay. And since only I'm inserting one character and making this entire thing possible, so I can say operations as 1, okay. Now say for example a question as str1 equals to GFG, str2 equals to GFG. Since both the strings are equal, so operations will be 0, okay. So how we are going to solve this? We are going to use the concept of recursion, okay, and we are going to try and solve this particular problem, okay. So let us quickly check the solution. So what we can see is we'll be having a function given as the edit distance required. We'll be having two strings. We'll be having the size of the two strings. First we are checking whether the string is empty, then insert all the characters of s2, okay. So we will be returning n. If the string, and if it is the string 2 is empty, then we will be removing all the characters of str2, okay. So now what m and n are basically, helping as the counters, okay. So how we are going to do this? Okay, so we are going to do this by first we will be passing in the function, will be passing the two strings, the length 1 as m and length 2 as n, okay. First we are checking the base cases. After checking the base cases, we are checking if the last characters are the same, ignore the last characters. That means if I have a question as GEEK, geek, and GESEK, okay. So if I check for str1 equals to GEEK, so str dot character of m minus 1. So m minus 1 means this position, okay. Character of m minus 1 is this position. If the last character of this and this are same, okay, is it same? Yeah, it is same. Then return, we are going to recursively call this edit distance function, and what we can see is we are passing the 2 and we are shifting it m minus 1 and n minus 1. That means now my last character becomes e and this becomes e, okay. Similarly, after doing that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to check, oh, this is equal. That means I have to again recursively call. So now my last two characters are not equal. So in the case of not equal, I have to call this function and insert and delete and all the operations. So in the case of insert, what we can see is we will be passing the two strings, okay. The two strings are passed. The value of m will be constant, okay. The value of m will be constant and n minus 1. So this thing n value means the second string n value shifts by 1, okay. So whenever I'm shifting the second string pointer, we will be performing the insert operation at that particular place, okay. And how we are going to do, we will be telling you later on. And for removing, we are going to shift the upper pointer of the first string and keeping the pointer of the second string constant. And for replacing, we will be changing both the values. Lastly, we have to return the minimum number of operations. So we will be using the function return 1 plus mat.min of insert for inserting and mat.min remove and replace. So we have to take the minimum of remove and replace. Say for example, by removing, we are getting a value of a number of operations. We are removing some strings and then we are getting it as say 3 number of operations. and say for example in this case for replacing we are getting as 4 number of operations. So first what our task is to, we have to take the minimum of 3 and 4, which is 3. Okay, now inserting also takes, say for example, 2 operations. So now minimum of 2 and 3 is 2. Now we have to, a number of operation is 2 plus 1 equals to 3. So in 3 operations we will be making the string equal. So this is our edge case. Now let us try to examine this particular problem, okay, and let us see whether it is working or not. Okay, so this is my code section. Okay, this is my code section. So I'm going to you can see I have a function as edit distance, so I can say helper function. Okay, I'll be calling a helper function. I can be calling a helper function. Yeah, so I can return the helper function. I can return the helper function, and in the helper function I will be passing str1, str2. Okay, the length of str1 dot length and str2 dot length. Okay, so if you see carefully, I have passed the parameters. Now I'm going to make the helper function. So I can write private static int helper. In helper I'll be having all the parameters str1, string str2. Okay, then I will be having integer m. Okay, after that I'll be checking my base cases. Okay, so what are my base cases? So if my base cases, I'll be checking my base cases. So if my m equals to 0, then I'm going to return the value of n. Okay, if my n is equals to 0, then I'm going to return the value of m. So I will write it over here, inserting. Okay, as I wrote over here, inserting and removing in this case. Okay, removing and inserting a star. Now what I'm going to check, I'm going to check the last character. So str1 dot char at of m minus 1 equals to str2 dot char at of say n minus 1. So when I get my last characters as equal, what I'm going to do is I'm going to recursively call the function. And ignore the case. Okay, and move the pointer ahead. So I will be return helper, and in the helper function I'll be passing str1, str2, m minus 1 and n minus 1. Okay, so I pass the helper function as well. Okay, so I pass the helper function as well. After that, if the condition doesn't get satisfied, I'll be having an insert option. Insert equals to helper of str1, str2. Okay, m n minus 1. I'm going to have a void remove equals to helper of str1, str2, m minus 1, m. I'm going to have a replace function helper. I'll be having str1, str2, m minus 1, n minus 1. Okay. Once I've done all the insert, remove, and operations, now I have to return. So if you see, what I'm returning is 1 plus math dot minimum of insert, comma, math dot minimum of replace and remove. Okay, I'm going to quickly try and execute this particular problem. So you see the code is working. So I'll try to compile this particular code. See, only 15 test cases are passing, and there is also a time limit exceeded because of the recursion. So how we can optimize this code? And how we can fix this code? We can fix this code with the help of dynamic programming. If we use dynamic programming, over here we don't have to do anything. We just have to change certain things, and the same thing will be working. Okay. So what I will be basically doing is I'll be taking the length of the strings as m and n. Okay. So I can I can just take the length of, I can create a dynamic programming like this, int dp equals to new int. Okay, and in the dp function, what I will be doing is I'll be storing the m plus 1 and n plus 1. Okay, once my dp function is being dp array is being created, what I'll be storing is I'll be initializing the dp array. I'll be trying to initialize the DP array. So int I equals to 0 and less than m I plus plus, okay, and int for j equals to 0, j less than equals to n, j plus plus. So we'll be using memoization technique, and we'll be storing the. First, we're going to check the same thing. If the I value is equals to 0, then DP will store DP of I and j will be storing the value of j, which is for the second string, okay. And else if the j is equals to 0, then what we are going to do is the DP of I and j will store the first string, okay. And now in the else if part, what I'll be doing is I'll be slowly taking out the content of this thing, control X, okay. I'll be taking out the content of this thing, okay. In the else if, now I'm going to write like this. And over here this will be for our case I and j, yeah. So DP of I and j equals to DP of I minus 1, j minus 1. That's how we are shifting the pointer, the same thing. So once the else if is completed, we'll be having the else block, which will be having the insert and all operations, okay. So for else block we'll be having all the three operations. So I'll be calling all these operations. Over here. I'm just trying to do this, not sure whether it's gonna work. So what I'm going to do is in the else part, I'm going to write like this: DP of I and j is equals to DP of I and j is equals to 1 plus math dot minimum of. So I will be keeping the two constant, right? So I can write it like this: DP of I and DP of j minus 1. So once I have understood this particular logic, I'll be using the same code 3 times. For now, in this case, what we are doing, the I minus 1 and j is constant. So I minus 1 and j is constant. In the second case, both I and j will be decremented. Both I and j is decremented. So I can write it like this as insert, remove, replace, okay. So both the cases are done. Then, okay, then this is what? The for loop. This is the outer loop. Return DP of M N, okay. We can try to compile our code. Okay, so there is no suitable method for minimum. So where did I do the mistake? I have to check. So I've taken, maybe what I can do is I can distance, okay. You can write it as edit distance. I can write it as edit distance, and now I will try to compile. I'll be having again some problems, I know. So this function is ending here, but still there are some problems. So this is my else block, else if, it's my J loop, M loop. I'll be having some problems, maybe math dot minimum. No suitable method find for int and int errors. Math dot min, int not applicable. We're finding the minimum of two values. Why it's not applicable? Let's try to check. This is not we're looking for. You can check the submissions. What we are doing is okay, so yeah, so let me just check where I did some mistake or not. So we have done m and n correctly. We have used a DP array to new int m plus 1 n plus 1. Okay, we are initialing I0 I less than m I plus plus, j0 j less than equals to n j plus plus. If I equals to 0, then dp of I and j is equals to ja. Okay, else if j is equals to 0, then dp of I and j is equals to I. In the else if, we are checking whether the character at str dot or str1 dot caret of I minus 1 is equals to str2 dot caret of j minus 1. Okay, dp of I and j equals to dp of I minus 1 j minus 1. Okay, and lastly we're going to check the else part. In the else part, what you can see is dp of I and j is equals to 1 plus math dot minimum of dp of, okay, okay, so I guess I did a mistake. Dp of okay, math dot minimum of dp of I, there are two parameters. So the parameters will be dp of I j minus 1 and dp of I minus 1 and j. Yeah, so I and j minus 1 and I minus 1 and j, and yeah, 1 plus, I don't think we need this. So dp of I and j equals to 1 plus math dot minimum of dp of I and j minus 1, comma, math dot minimum of dp of I minus 1 and j. So all together in the same line, dp of I minus 1 j minus 1. Now it should work. Yeah, let's try to submit our solution. So we see that we have successfully completed this particular problem statement, and I'm looking forward to solve more problems on string. This was a hard problem, but if we know the recursive part, then the dynamic programming part can also be dealt. Okay, so nothing, we have to just create a DP table. In case of recursion, you guys saw that we did the same thing. We checked the last characters, but in that case we were not updating it. But in this case we are using a memorization technique to store the values in the DP table and then take the minimum of the values. So thank you, like, share and subscribe to our channel.